there's something that I'm going to say right now, and it will be foolish for anyone listening to me to think that based on what I am going to say, that means that I belong to the other side. Or, if I am criticizing the red, the blue will think I am on their side. If I am criticizing the blue, the red will think I am on their side. I don't belong to any political party. Okay? There is no way that you, as a black man or a black woman, if you know yourself and where you are from and who you are, if you have your ancestral knowledge, if you have the knowledge of your history in this world and the knowledge of who you are in this world and how you get to where you are today, how you got to where you are today, there is no way that you will be out here claiming to be a Democrat or a Republican. The only way you would claim to be you, I'm talking about you as an African, you as Onyishoji, the only way that you would claim, oh, I'm a Republican or I'm a Democrat is because you don't know yourself. You lack the knowledge of self. You don't understand yourself. So like now, if someone like me, if I'm criticizing the Republicans, if I criticize the MAGA or something like that, you would assume that I am doing that because I am a Democrat. Likewise, if I criticize the Democrats, you would assume that I am doing that because I am a Republican. Why? Because you are classically conditioned to think that there is no other way, that you can either be one or the other. You have been trained and brainwashed to think that I cannot be in any of those parties and still show them something or speak on them without belonging to the other side. You know, it's funny, like, and this is what I wanted to say actually. It's funny, like, how the Republicans, the red, the MAGA, they, they just they give themselves this Christianity brand. I mean, like as if Christianity is a representation of what they are. Jesus Christ of Nazareth is the greatest liberal Democrat in the history of liberalism. Jesus Christ of Nazareth is the greatest liberal in the history of liberalism. Do you think Jesus Christ would hang around Donald Trump? Like if Jesus Christ existed today, or if he ever existed, if Jesus existed and he magically shows up in 2025, do you think Jesus Christ would be a Republican? I don't think that you conservatives, you MAGA, I don't think you guys read the Bible. You claim to be Christians, you claim to be Christian and represent Christian values, but what is Christian value? What is Christian value? Christian value is the value of Jesus Christ, right? Because without Jesus Christ, there will be no Christianity. Without Jesus Christ, there will be no Christianity. So, what is the value of Jesus Christ? Do you guys know? Do you think that Jesus Christ would hate immigrants? Do you think that Jesus Christ would despise immigrants? Do you think that Jesus Christ would hang around Donald Trump? The man who said that it will be difficult for the rich to get into heaven? That's what he said. He said that it will be difficult for the rich to make it to heaven. Jesus Christ did not hang around wealthy people. See, that's because you guys don't read your Bible. Jesus Christ did not hang around wealthy people. the character Jesus. Now, I don't want you guys to get me wrong or to think that I am saying that Jesus existed or that I'm just saying based on the character. Just just assume that I am thinking about Spider-Man. There's someone named Peter Parker in New York today. There's someone named Peter Parker in New York, but you know, there's nobody named Peter Parker, the Spider-Man. You understand? So just think that, pretend like as if I'm talking about Spider-Man. Jesus Christ of Nazareth would not be a Republican. He would not be hanging around with people like Donald Trump and Elon Musk. No, he would not. Jesus Christ of Nazareth would hang around poor people. That's according to the way he was portrayed in the Bible. Jesus Christ will not be telling people, oh, you know, you shouldn't be looking for hands out. You shouldn't be looking for handout. Jesus Christ will feed the poor, will feed everybody. Jesus Christ will feed everybody. Jesus Christ will not be canceling Medicaid. Jesus Christ will not support the cancellation of Medicaid or all of these things that poor people are using to uh, 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 get medicine at the hospital and stuff like. Jesus Christ would not be canceling any of those things. No, he wouldn't. Jesus Christ would be healing the sick for free. So the I'm just trying to let you guys know that your technology isn't working. It's not for someone like me. You can claim to be Christian all you want, but we just know that that's just a masquerade. Christianity is a masquerade for you MAGAs. You call yourself MAGA or Christianity is just a masquerade for you. Because if you remove that masquerade, that Christian masquerade that you're wearing, if you remove the Christian masquerade you're wearing, you will look demonic. Yes. If you remove the Christian masquerade, which is Jesus masquerade, you guys are all wearing a Jesus masquerade. Okay. If you remove the Jesus masquerade that you are wearing, you will look demonic. Which Bible are you guys reading? Because to be Christian, you say you are a Christian nation. To be Christian is to be Christ-like. That is to be like Jesus Christ. How did we learn about Jesus Christ? We learned about Jesus Christ in a book called the Bible. When we open the Bible, what is it that Jesus is doing? How is it that you guys are you think that you're so trickish that you would wear this Jesus masquerade in order to brainwash people that are not familiar with Jesus, which are the liberals. They're just the liberal Democrats. They're satanic. They do a lot of satanic stuff. They're wild. You say they are do this. They are alphabet people and they support abort and all of those things. You claim all those things and use it as an excuse and call yourself you are a Christian. Do you think that? Do you think that Jesus Christ would support people carrying assault rifles? Because the more you're you guys claiming that you are Christian, I'm talking to you MAGAs. Another time I'll talk to the liberal Democrats. Another time I'll talk to them. I also have something to tell them. Their foolishness. I'm gonna expose their foolishness. But right now, I'm talking to you MAGAs. You MAGAs. Your whole entire ideology is that you are a Christian and that you are a representation of morality. And like you are a representation of Jesus Christ and that you are Christ-like. Please, how does Christ behave? Who is Christ and what to be Christian is to be Christ-like. What is it that is Christ-like that you guys do? You think Jesus would be out here talking about black community? Oh, black community are so violent and degenerate. You think that's what Jesus would be doing? No, Jesus wouldn't be doing any of those things. Jesus, instead of doing that, Jesus would be helping the black community. Instead of trying to use gang violence to, you know, to make yourself feel better than, Jesus would not even appear as better than, you guys, you appear as Jesus didn't even own a horse. Jesus didn't even own a horse. Jesus had to, Jesus had to tell somebody to go and steal a horse for him. Somebody had to go and steal a horse for Jesus. Jesus is the greatest liberal Democrat in the history of liberalism. But you Republicans, you MAGAs, you're just fooling yourselves. You're just fooling yourselves. And, due to the fact that the liberal Democrats, they are not so familiar with Jesus Christ, then because they're foolish, they're not so familiar with, the history of, or the really, they're not so familiar with religion. Most of them are atheists. Most of them are most of them consume themselves with hedonism. All of those talking points you use against them, all those talking points you use against the liberal Democrats. They consume themselves with hedonism. They are miscreants. They're sinners. But you specifically, you don't even represent what you claim to represent. You don't represent Christianity. There's nothing about you that is Christ-like. You think Jesus would be racist? You think Jesus would be making corny, racist jokes or corny, racist statements like you guys do? You think, because you think that you're smart, you think that you're intelligent, you think that you're more intelligent because, for your mind, knowing how to speak proper English is equivalent to having higher intelligence. You think that Jesus didn't even speak English. Jesus would be an immigrant. Jesus doesn't even look, Jesus doesn't have blue eye and blonde hair. That's the worst part. Jesus is not German. Jesus is not German, he's not English, he's not Scottish, you know. You know, you, Jesus looks like Palestinians. Jesus would look like Palestinians. I don't want to get into the colors thing, but he probably look darker. He probably look like a dark, very brownish Palestinian person. Because that's where the story came from. But you guys are wearing this Jesus masquerade and making yourself feel like as if you're better than everybody. You represent this value, but your soul is full of hate. You claim that you represent Christianity, but your soul is full of hate. You see, the only people that you can fool with this idea are the liberals, because they are not so familiar with the system. They're not so familiar with that system. What did Jesus teach you? Who you guys like. If you guys existed during the time of Jesus, if MAGA existed during the time of Jesus, you would be what Jesus would refer to as the Pharisees. That's what you guys would be. You guys would be the Pharisees. That's basically the people that Jesus was against. Jesus was against the Pharisees, and the Pharisees was against Jesus. So you guys, what I'm giving you guys is a reality check. This is a reality. I'm just helping you guys to understand something. Jesus would despise you MAGAs because you are fraudulent. Your the religious system that you are not what you claim to be, because it's not in here for you. You're not truly a Christian. You guys are not truly Christians. You just You're just going off of, the system that you built for yourself. It's like pride. These are things that Jesus would despise. Many of the things that you guys are is built up on ego, pride, hatred, hatred of, you know And you guys are extremely violent. You claim you guys are extremely violent. You understand? Jesus said, "He who Jesus said that Obum manananamma, if you live by the sword, you will die by the sword." That's what Jesus told Peter when he cut off somebody's ear. Peter cut off somebody's ear, and Jesus took the person's ear and put it back and told Peter, "Don't do that. If you live by the sword, you will die by the sword. If you live by, you will die by." I mean, you guys are not Christians. Stop, stop fooling. The purpose of this video is for you guys to stop fooling yourselves. Stop fooling yourselves. You're not Christians. You are just an Oyibo supremacist. You just an Oyibo supremacist. You guys are just supremacists. It's about your skin color. You guys are about skin colors. You guys are about skin colors and hair color and eye color. That's really what you're about. You're not really about anything else besides skin color. Was Jesus about skin color and hair color and eye color? But you Christian. You Christian nation, and you Christian. But there is nothing about you that is Christian-like. There's nothing about you that is Jesus-like. Instead, you are just using Jesus as a masquerade, because if you remove the masquerade, it will show many of the things you do will be demonic. If you remove the masquerade, many of the things that you do and say would be demonic. To you, even you'd be like, "Oh my God, I'm so evil. Like, I can't believe I'm this evil." But you had to pretend and claim that you're Christian and those other people are not, in order to continue. You use Christianity as a justification for your evil, the evil that comes out your mouth. Jesus wasn't even judging people. As in, like, Jesus don't even like people that judge people. So you come out, you talk about black community this, black community that. Jesus said that he who is without sin should cast the first stone. So you guys speak like as if you walk on air, like you guys are not dirty, no dirt. And you claim that you're Christian. You say you're Christian, while the person who is a representation of Christianity, what you should be as a Christian, is saying that he who is without sin should cast the first stone. But you guys have been throwing stones and claiming to be Christian. Where did you get that from? Is that what you learned from Jesus? Which part of Jesus' teaching are you guys into? Let me just ask you, what kind of Jesus teaching are you guys into? Because when I open the Bible, I look at the history of Jesus. It The liberal Democrats are actually the Christians. The liberal Democrats are the Christians. The liberal Democrats wants to help the poor. The liberal Democrats don't take food from the poor. They want to help. The liberal Democrats give hands out. They create free systems for everybody. That's Jesus stuff. There is nothing about you, Republicans, MAGA, or whatever you call yourself, that is Christ-like. There's nothing about you that is Christian-like. You guys should call your whatever you believe in as, just call it something else. Because there's nothing Christian about you guys. You guys don't even turn the other cheek. You don't even turn the other cheek. There's nothing. You guys are going to hell. You are all going to hell. You are all going to hell. There is nothing Christian about you guys. Nothing. You're just wearing this masquerade called Christianity. But it actually doesn't have anything to do with who you are and what you represent. Because if you remove that masquerade and continue to be the way you are, you would appear to be demonic. But even as you are wearing the Christian masquerade, you are still demonic. You're still demonic. So that's just the message that I want to share with you guys today. I just wanted to let you guys know that you're not fooling anybody. At least you're not fooling me. You're not fooling me. I know there are a few of people like me too that know that you're not fooling them. You're not fooling people like me with your Christian. I am Christian. I represent Christian values, and but I don't like immigrants, so I created a system called ICE to get rid of immigrants, and every now and then there should be gun deaths. Like your guy that just lost his life. Very unfortunate thing that happened to him, but there's nothing Christian about the person. There's nothing Christian about him. There's nothing, you guys don't represent Christianity. You are just using it as a masquerade. It's just a masquerade for you guys. You're just wearing a masquerade called Christianity. But it doesn't have anything to do with what you truly represent as human beings. So just think about it. I'm not really trying to destroy your system or whatever. I'm just saying, like, if you are a conservative and you are a Christian and you are this and that, why don't you look into, because if you are truly that, try and look into the things that Jesus says. Or maybe you think, I think I get it. Maybe you think that Jesus about being kind and not doing evil things only refers to you as a Western European people, even though and it's so crazy, even though that Jesus is not Western European. There's nothing, Jesus is not Scottish, English, German. Jesus is none of those things. Jesus is far from that place. It will take at least 9 hours of flight, or maybe 10 hours, or at least probably 12 hours of flight, or 10 hours of flight to fly from Western Europe to where Jesus is from.